Greetings, family. As promised, okay, so first of all, my name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And as I promised earlier, I am going to do this live. I'm going to keep it short. Um, but I wanted to do it anyway. I didn't want to put it off. I have so much content, right? That I still need to share with you guys. Not just new content, but even old content. I have so much. When I tell you, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage that nobody's ever seen that I still have to post. I think it's valuable. I took it for a reason. But so I really want to be a lot more disciplined about, even if I'm not doing lives, like posting some kind of content. But this live I wanted to do, even though I did a 2.5, almost 3 hour reading earlier today, which kind of took me out. Like I literally just woke up maybe about 10 minutes ago. Like it took me out. But this topic, several people over the last couple of weeks had brought my attention to two documentaries they said that I should watch. I watched one of them today before I got on that first live. Greeting balance. I watched one of them today before getting on the live to do the reading. The other one I haven't. Oh, shit, my bad. Hold on. The other one I haven't watched yet. That one I feel like I'm gonna have to build up the stamina to watch because I watched the previews. I was like, I don't know if my spirit can take it. Now y'all know. Okay, so let me tell you what the first one is. The first one is in the title of this live called "Love Is One." It is about the documentary "Love Is One" about the what's her name, Amy Carlson, and also known as Mother God, and the Love Is One cult, right? And I had seen many like YouTube exposés on the Love Is One cult, but I was already well versed in the cult. But when somebody brought it to my attention a couple of weeks ago that they had made an official documentary, I guess Netflix or something had made an official documentary that was following up with her. Greetings, Tanya. That was following up with her followers, after she transitioned, like, concluding the story or whatever. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and watch it. So I watched it today. It was a pretty easy watch because, like I said, I was already well versed in it. But there were some things that I wanted to talk about this cult and every other cult. I talk to y'all about cults a lot, and most of you know why. I was born into an end of the world religious cult, an end of the world Christian religious cult, and 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 then after having, been into organizations that would appear from the outside world and have been accused of from the outside world of having cult-like tendencies, it's something I've always been intrigued by. Cults, serial killers, mass murderers, right? These are the things because I guess I've always been trying to understand what makes people behave in such extreme ways. So I watched this documentary. Now, I'm going to tell you, even the first time I ever saw or heard of this cult, Love Has Won, the hardcore Black nationalist, revolutionary activist of my past, my little antennae went straight up. You understand? I'm gonna tell you why. There were so many dog whistles in this documentary. There was so much in this documentary. And this documentary is not unlike the plethora of other documentaries out there in the world about the myriad of cults that have come through the consciousness, primarily the United States. Something I'm going to get into, and I really want to do something deeper about it. There's a guy who has a TikTok channel that I just got turned on to. I really like. It's Billy Blanks Jr. So I'm assuming it's the dude's son. Billy Blanks Jr. Some of y'all are too young to even remember who Billy Blanks was. But anyway, Billy Blanks Jr. And the first video I saw was him doing a breakdown state by state, the states in the United States that have produced, quote, given birth to the most serial killers. Then he did another one where through the histories of documented, quote, serial killers around the globe, which countries, what are the top 10 countries that have produced the most serial killers, right? Documented serial killers. And that shit was sobering. Because, of course, the United States was number one. Second to the United States was the UK. And in the UK, the history of documented serial killers, which is, relative. Relative. Why do I say it's relative? Why would I say documented serial killers is relative in the UK? Can anyone say the Inquisition, where killing at random was ordained by the nobility and by the church? So relative. Documented serial killers in the UK total 187. Right? 187. Second from number one. Number one being the United States. Documented serial killers in the short, brief history of the United States as a nation, 2,300 plus. I forget the exact number, but 2,300 documented serial killers. Right? And before I got on this call, I saw this guy again on an Instagram, like a reel, and he's asking these two co-hosts, his two white co-hosts, he's like, what race makes up the most serial killers globally? And one of the dudes was like, white males, Caucasian male, hand down. The other dude was like, do I have options? Like, can I choose? He was like, well, you can choose percentages. He said, because everybody's represented on the list. What I'm asking is, what race makes up the most? He was like, yeah, okay, probably white men. He was like, well, what percentage do you think that white men make up globally the most serial killers? One guy said 40%. The other guy said 51%. And he said, statistically, of all the serial killers, 82% of them have been white males. So the two white guys obviously looked distraught. They, cracked some jokes back and forth, but they looked distraught. And then one of the white guys asks the question. He says, I want to know more about that. Like, how does that happen? Like, his words were, what causes that? What caused that? Right? In the comment section, as you would expect, a lot of people were saying pretty much the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Violence is in their DNA. Whatever. All the things that we say, right? That help us distinguish us from what we see as the malignant behavior of white people, right? And it brought me back to this discussion that we had a few days ago about, and I've been going in, it's been one of the wormholes I've been in this week, about the impact that 500, and there are some estimations because the Inquisition began in like in 1108, I believe, was the year, the official year of the beginning of the Inquisition. So you're looking at almost 900 years of Inquisition. The Inquisition didn't officially end until the late 1800s. I know most people don't know that. The Inquisition didn't end officially until the late 1800s. So you're talking about 800 plus years of brigandage, the worst kind. And even before the Inquisition, truth be told, the Roman Empire, I mean, we see stories in movies about how brutal the Roman Empire was. Like, we get glimpses of it, the gladiator fights and putting people, who didn't agree with the Roman Empire in freaking Colosseums to go toe to toe with lions and shit. We get glimpses of the brutality of the Roman Empire in any number of movies that you want to watch, right? So even prior to the 800 plus years of Inquisition, the Roman Empire has always wielded this instrument of extraordinary violence and hostility. Not even violence is too kind a word. We got to create a new word to describe what happened, but it's not. Please hear what I'm saying. You understand? It's not to make an excuse, but this kid looked genuinely demoralized by this statistic. 82% of all the serial killers on Earth historically have been white and male. And his thing was like, what causes that? Like, how does that happen? You understand? So I mentioned the church. I mentioned the Inquisition because I spent another wormhole last night for a long time watching this dude's videos. The one I was telling you guys about yesterday, who did the video, Rome Never Fell. And he is, man, that shit was so sobering. Oh my God. I mean, y'all know the Roman Catholic Church is my soapbox. Even before we read Mama Zogbe, for 5 years, 6 years, the Roman Catholic Church has been my soapbox. You feel me? The Sibyls solidified that soapbox, but then watching this dude's videos where he literally goes pope by pope by pope by pope by pope, and he talks about these different popes and what the world knows them for whatever minimal good they did, like, creating infrastructure or whatever the fuck. But he goes by each and every one of these popes and digs up the most horrific, gruesome, like, how does the mind of a person even, where does that even come up from? To the imaginings. Some of the shit, I was like, oh my God, yo, I'm just going to tell you, the dude's videos are not for the faint at heart. But when I tell you that this is the singular most wicked institution that has ever existed in the epoch of human history. You hear me? Now, it is estimated that human beings been walking the planet for about 1.5 million years. You feel me? And in 1.5 million years, 250,000 years of, known history, this is the most wicked concoction. I honey dipped chocolate. I do not know if I know you, or if we are connected on Facebook. But if you go onto my Facebook page, which is Cassandra Faye Floyd, if you go on my Facebook page and then you put in the search engine, Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, send me an invite. I mean, request coming into the thing or whatever. I posted a bunch of videos in there. This dude's video. I can't remember the guy's name right off the top of my head. I just started watching him last night. But if you go into YouTube and just type in the search engine, Rome never fell, 2 or 3 different channels will come up. God, I can't remember the name. I'll probably have to type it in the comments or something. I can't remember the guy's name right off my head, and I'm using both my phone and my lap. You know what? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can just bring it up this way. I hope I don't mess nothing up. Hold on. Because I'm broadcasting live on YouTube. I hope I don't mess the stream up. Let me look for my history. I want to tell y'all because the guy's stuff is really good. Where's my history at? No. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to type it in the comments because I want to get moving into the topic at hand. Yeah, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna just have to type it in the comments later. You don't have to check back, boo. Sorry. Okay, so anyway, I'm mentioning all of this for a reason. It's hot in here all of a sudden. All of this stuff comes from the same place. So I just did a live a few days ago. What did I say? If you have me tell it, every monster that exists on Earth today, serial killers, mass murderers, pedophiles, tyrants in office, suit and tie guys, guys in blue suits, so-called terrorists, you name it. You name it. Name a monster, and I guarantee you they were crafted by the Roman Catholic Church. Shaped, crafted, and breathed life into by the Roman Catholic Church. That's my position. Every monster in every horror movie, every idealized monster we hold in our head, child, was shaped, crafted, and breathed life into by the Roman Catholic Church. I sat here and watched like 6 of this dude's videos back to back to back. Mind blown. Peeled back. Not even conspiracy theory stuff. You feel me? Just like, this is what is in their own documents. This is what they own stuff say. Not even the conspiracy theory stuff. You feel me? Just this what this Pope did. This what happened under his watch. Boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh. I was too done. He went through every single one of the popes since the emerging of the Roman Catholic Church, or the transforming of the Roman Catholic Church from the Holy Roman Empire. That shit was fire. Anyway, the reason I said that is because, again, every monster is created by the Roman Catholic Church. Every one. Cults are not exempt from that. So this girl right here. Do you have to be a Roman Catholic to be impacted by Roman Catholicism's domination of the whole planet? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's what I kept thinking. And then I talked to y'all last week about why is it important to talk about the Roman Catholic Church? Because we get stuck on stupid is what we do. We get stuck in these political ideologies that have us stuck on the state. Stuck on the state. The state is just the instrument. The state is the instrument of coercion and oppression, subjugation. The state is the instrument. It is the tool. It is the weapon, the state. You understand? It's the weapon. It's the instrument. It's the tool. It's the sword. It's the blade. Who wields the blade? Who controls the instrument? Who guides the weapon? That's why I tried to tell y'all the Roman Catholic Church, the unholy Trinity. Yes, the unholy Trinity. And so I'm watching this documentary today called Love Has Won. Why am I mentioning the state? Because I don't want y'all to get lost. I know y'all think, okay, Taylor. Okay, cool. Taylor, what's up? Cool. So yeah, you'll get the information then. Why am I talking about the state and the church in a rundown, and not even a rundown or review of this documentary, Love Has Won, about this cult where the cult leader just recently passed away. She passed away in 2020. Because when I talk to you about the dog whistles that I heard in this documentary over and over and over again, right? When I talked about the similarities of the people talking who were members of this cult to the interviewers about what drew them to, quote, Mother God and all of this stuff, the language that she used to win people, this was what her mama said. Poor white trash Southern girl from middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, in the middle of Tornado Alley. Her mama said we was poor. We was never not poor. That's what she said. You feel me? So I'm listening to the language that she seemingly out of nowhere is using to win people to this cult, this life that she has created, her and her first father God, right? Now, I'm going to tell you before I get into the specifics, my position. The documentary is worth watching. It's hard to watch, though. It's hard to watch. It's worth watching, though. But as soon as I heard about this woman, I tell you what I thought. Now, this is going to sound like conspiracy theory to y'all. It ain't conspiracy theory to me. I know the state. I know the history of the state. I know how the state functions, both overtly and covertly. I know the state. I know how the state is so arrogant that it tells on itself because it is certain that we are so stupid we would never see its doings and its goings on. You feel me? So I'm going to tell you what I think about the documentary. I think that we really underestimate this period in the history of this country, the Cold War era in particular, how many studies, top secret studies were being conducted by the state, by the government, by the Pentagon, so on and so forth. That was really attempting in a myriad of ways to understand how to control the human population, how to direct society through manipulation, whether through images, whether through drugs, whatever, whether through the imposition of poverty, which forces people to behave in ways contrary to how they would behave if they were well adjusted, cared for, well situated, right? And this Cold War period, after the Freedom of Information Act and all of that stuff, and all of these top secret documents, started coming to the surface, and and all these, some of these studies that they did, let get to the public, which was just skimming the surface of the diabolicalness. You feel me? I'm convinced. Watching, greetings, Shauna Marcel, Solitaire Wisdom. I am convinced now more than ever that many of these people that we see that seemingly out of nowhere emerge to become, quote, great leaders of profound movements and cults and what have you, baby, I'm convinced they're sleepers. I'm convinced of it. I believe that these people are not consciously, some are not consciously setting out to harm others. I believe they are sleepers. Because if, I don't know, it came out a long time ago, but there was a documentary called Zeitgeist. It came out in the early 2000s. And one of the conclusions in Zeitgeist was, in order for an extraordinary imbalance of power to be maintained, something has to work in the powerless that has them complacent. You know what I'm saying? In their oppression, complacent in their oppression, right? And he talks about the need, not only complacent in their oppression, but actually complicit with those who are oppressing them. Sometimes, what do they call it? Patriotically and enthusiastically holding up those who oppress them. And he said, in order to maintain this kind of extraordinary, inhumane, illogical, statistically illogical imbalance of power, you have to create an ongoing enemy consciousness. The creation of the enemy always keeps people paralyzed by their own fear, because this enemy that's been created is far worse than what those who oppress us could ever do. The all elusive boogeyman over here is always way, way worse than what our own oppressors could ever do to us. So this is how you can maintain this otherwise statistically impossible imbalance of power. And you can call that whatever you want: power, energy, wealth, labor distribute, the whole, whatever. This statistically impossible imbalance of power is to keep those that you are dominating perpetually distracted by the enemy, the all elusive boogeyman, some the fuck where. You understand? You have to create the enemy that keeps them preoccupied. So the state always needs an enemy, and whoever runs the state always needs an enemy, always needs an enemy, always needs to ensure that we are held hostage by enemy consciousness, right? And so when I'm listening to this guy talk about the 20, he didn't say 2000, was it 22,000? Some ungodly amount of serial killers in the history of the United States, the thousands and thousands and thousands of cults that have existed in the United States. One FBI report I read, 8 years ago, said that on any given day, the FBI estimates that there are 5,000 functioning cults in the United States, right? So I was like, well, what purpose do these serve? Is it just the individual narcissistic acts of human beings needing to center themselves and prop themselves up and exploit others? That's probably an aspect. You understand? But how does the church create them? Because everything exists in our conditioned society that is constantly informing the need for cults, the needs for cults. You understand? We were reading in Pure Lust the other day about, you remember those of you who were on the book club with me the other day, what did she say about the role of plug uglies? Remember that? Y'all remember what she said about the role that plug uglies play in the maintenance of this shit? Oh, let me see if I can find it real quick. Plug uglies. She's talking about the different names given to the roles that typically men play, not exclusively, but typically men play, whether consciously or unconsciously, in the preservation of patriarchy, in the maintenance of patriarchy, in the ensuring of this unreasonable imbalance of power. And she says of the plug uglies, I will read shortly, plug uglies are among the grosser snoolish incarnations. And snools are, like she says, mean-spirited people, right? Plug uglies is defined as a member of a gang of disorderly ruffians, often active in political pressure and intimidation. The term the term disorderly, as applied here, has nothing to do with the truly wild disorder, of course. It is descriptive of brutality, characteristic of the state. Thus, plug uglies include everyday rapists, child abusers, pimps, wife beaters, maimers, murderers, dismemberers, as well as professional hatchet men such as physicians and surgeons and politicians and policemen and scientists and military experts who kill in order to cure. Right? They may not consciously see their behavior. We may just call it a psychological disorder that he beats his wife. But this behavior serves to do what? What did she say? She said, this behavior, whether it's in conscious collusion with the state or it's just a part of your conditioning. Plug uglies inhabit every populated area of the planet. Moreover, they have plugged themselves into women and into nature. She says, plug uglies, while creating the illusion that they're giving, no, blah, 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 blah. What did she say? Where did she say that at? She was saying of plug uglies, hold on, that their behavior, I can't find it, that their behavior their behavior, whether in conscious collusion with, or whether they are just moving based on their what? Roman Catholic, hidden Roman imperial behavior that still produces the same outcome. These behaviors that I just named, these plug uglies that I just named, what are they? Rapists, child abusers, pimps, wife beaters, maimers, murderers, dismemberers, even the professional hatchet men, the physicians and surgeons, politicians and scientists, military experts who kill in order to cure. The outcome is the same. It is to create a constant state of terror that keeps women in check, that keeps the oppressed in check, that keep the colonies in check. This is the purpose that they serve. Why would I say this in the context of a documentary about a woman who thought she was Mother God? You understand? Because the language in this documentary, the language that she used to cast the net to people that became a part of her cult, this is old language. Remember I was telling y'all not too long ago about how my mind was blown by this documentary called about the cult of I Am in the 1920s? The cult of I Am, and how we're always talking about the I am and the power of manifestation, and the strongest words in the universe for manifesting are the I am. Well, the reason that we talk about that is because of this cult that existed in the 1920s called the cult of I Am, right? So one of her emissaries, because she's Mother God, and so she has all these emissaries that she talks to and communicates with in her doings and goings on about the world or whatever. And one of them is this guy, this ascended master that was the face of the cult of I Am. So this is old language that she was using. And I'm going to just tell you, I'm going back on what I said. Every monster, every criminal, every serial killer, every mass murderer, these are products of the empire. They are given birth to by the male mother. You understand? The Pope as an institution. These are the offspring of the Roman Empire, the ambitions of the Holy Roman Empire cloaked under the dress of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. I'm going to just tell you what it is. You understand? There ain't no way you can convince me otherwise. The United States, technically, is a little over, 175 years old? No. Almost, technically, 1776 is when it was founded. So 225 years old? more serial killers than all the continents combined in this short period of time. What is the sickness that exists here that is so much more stark than anywhere else that is significantly older, right? So I'm more cults than any of the other 6 continents combined. And the United States is still one of the youngest countries on earth. What is it that is peculiar about this country? We were talking the other day about Kali. Remember I was telling y'all the story about Kali and how she was, she was fighting this demon as Durga, as her loving mother self. She's fighting this demon, and every time she slashes him, when his blood hits the ground, another demon springs up. Another demon springs up. Another demon springs up. Right? The Bible, I'll have to find the verse. There's a verse in the Bible that talks about woe is the man who founds his nation off the spilling of innocent blood. Woe is the man who founds a nation off the spilling of innocent blood. That's in the King James Version sitting right here in my living room. Woe is the man who founds a nation on the spilling of innocent blood. The verse goes on to say, because when the blood of the innocent falls on the land, the soil is tainted. The soil is tainted. And the only thing, I got to find the scripture tonight, the only thing that can purify the land tainted by the massacre of the innocent is the spilling of those who shed the blood. That's in your Bible. That's not no shit Cassandra said. That's in your KJV, baby. That's in your King James Version Bible. The only way to purify the land that has been soiled by the massacre of the innocent is expiation, is the blood of those who spilled the blood of the innocent. So every time I tell y'all the story about Kali fighting this demon whose blood creates more of this demon, and once this demon, because it starts out as one demon, by the time Durga is done slicing on this dude and his blood done flung all over the place, and everywhere his blood drops, a new fully emerged version of himself is on the deck or is on the scene. By the time Kali springs out of her head to save the day, it is said that the demon threatened to destroy the whole world. Oh my God. But by the time, what did I tell y'all 2 days ago? We are in the Kali Yuga right now. This is the last age according to Hindu tradition. The Bhagavad Gita says the last stage, or the last age, the last yuga is the Kali Yuga, where men fail to recognize the divine Shakti in women. They fail to see God in women. This is when Kali returns to earth, right? And so this demon, Durga, is like trying to do what she trying to read. I told y'all the story, yo. Right now, she just slicing the bitch. You feel me? She like, yes, we going to war. This the nurturing me. This is me reasoning with you right now. It's just me reasoning with you. But once shit gets out of hand, I got to black out. Isn't it interesting that that's the term we use? Blackout. When Kali comes on deck to wreck shit, the black one, the primordial she, the beginning of all that is and ever was and ever will be. So you got to black out so Kali can come and clean up this mess. The demons all over the world now emboldened, the numbers insurmountable by the mother, Durga. But now her wild self, her unbridled self, her primordially chaotic self has to come on the scene, doing all the shit that y'all uncomfortable seeing her do. Slicing motherfuckers' heads off, slurping the blood out so none of the blood drop on the ground. You feel me? Taking and putting this motherfucker's skull on her hip so she can commence to slaying. Why? You look at the image and you're like, oh my God, she's a maniac. She's wild. She's crazy. Losing sight of the fact that the only reason she emerged is that the threat of annihilation of that which she created is imminent. She has to come to save the day, and she can't save the day as a lady, baby. She cannot save the day with her nails did and her makeup right and her hair in an updo. She got to come out this bitch wild to save the day. To save us all, she got to get loose all the way, all the way, all the way unbridled. And that shit is scary to you. But can it be any more terrifying than what we have lived through? Can the mother's return be any more terrifying than any monster that we have survived in this bitch? Can we? Name the monsters. The prison industrial complex, the preschool to prison pipeline, human trafficking, globalization, the corporatocracy, the United States of America, indigenous genocide. I can go on and on and on. The massacre of the Herero in Namibia. Can the mother's reemergence, no matter how violent it may appear to you, can it even begin to be as terrifying and as monstrous as the shit that we have been normalized to accept and live through in this last age? I was telling y'all about this narrative that exists right now that is priming us all to accept the radical and coming increase of violence against women. It is here, baby. It ain't coming, it's here. There has been a 32% increase in domestic violence since 2020. It's not coming, it's here. There is no shortage of Negro and other preachers preaching to hordes and multitudes every freaking day about how the new threat in this age, as they are awaiting Jesus's return, is all these nigger witches. Think I'm lying? Go find yourself a black preacher. Even black preachers with vaginas spilling the same venom. That the greatest threat to the United States of America is the emerging nigger witches. Because every time they talking about witches, they ain't never showing some white girl in the damn woods dancing naked under the moon. They ain't never showing that. What they showing is black women practicing that voodoo shit, or practicing that other Africans in quotes, them African religions. Africa is inherently evil, right? The African religions. Honey, when I'm telling you that we are primed and ready to accept the radical increase that is coming, that's here, of the violence against women under the auspice of witchcraft. I'm trying to tell you. Why would I tell you that? Because I've been thinking a lot about this question. I've been talking to y'all a lot about this question, about how witchcraft is going to be rebranded by the church to be public enemy number one. No, not the other stuff happening around the world. None of that. People practicing power, empowerment, private prayer, ceremony, shrines. You feel me? This is going to be public enemy number one. People talking about taking the reins of spiritual power into their own hands and bypassing the preacher, bypassing the priest, bypassing the church. That becomes public enemy number one. Nothing else that's wrong in this bitch right here. No, that becomes, no, especially if it's women talking about regaining control of the reins of power for ourselves. This becomes public enemy number one. Do you understand? And in this environment that is priming us to accept, let me tell y'all, I told y'all I watched this this astrologer a couple weeks ago, entering into 2024. And he said, this week, he said, it's important to mention why we always go back way, way far into the past is because the past always echoes in our future around these really big, powerful movements. We want to know what happens in the past so that we can anticipate and even divert potential echoes of the past. That week that Pluto entered into Aquarius, that Oya entered into the realm of Shango for the first time in 226 years, 2 weeks ago, last week, right? He said the last time that this happened in that this particular alignment happened. So it wasn't just the Pluto in Aquarius. This Pluto in Aquarius with there were some other big major planetary transits that were conjoining. Uranus was in there somewhere. I forget, like if it was a square or whatever. That's not important. This very particular Pluto in Aquarius that happened not this past Friday, but the Friday before, not this past Saturday before. He said the last time it happened was the first year that the Holy Roman Inquisition became law. And I've been telling y'all for 3 years, get ready. They're going to use witchcraft as the banner to start raining holy hell on women and other people in this country. I said, go back, look at my views, look at my videos. There's like 300 plus of them on here. Go back to any video that I did in early 2020. Go back and look at any video that I did in late 2019. I said, y'all get ready, because they are priming this country through fear. What? Through the constant creation of enemy consciousness. They are priming us to accept extraordinarily familiar violence against those people who claim to be magical practitioners. You don't like the word witch? Fine. Doesn't matter. Your ass is colored, they see you as a witch. Your ass is female, they see you as a witch. Your ass is other, they see you as a witch. Whether you call yourself one or not, those in power will put us all in the same bag. You feel me? I've been saying that for 4 or 5 years now. They are priming us, right? And then I see 2 weeks ago, this guy say, it's important to know this peculiar alignment with Pluto and Aquarius. The last time it happened this way was in 1108 when the Holy Roman Catholic Church made official the beginning of the Inquisition. He named the papal bull that began the Inquisition, the whole nine, the Edict of Milan and all of that shit. So when I talk about echoes that reverberate, let's see, we don't study history that way. You understand? We don't study history in a web of continuums that are like waves. They're echoes and waves. We study history in straight lines that don't touch. That's why we can just study Black history and don't study any of the other historical events that are happening, in conjunction with it. Or we study European history and we don't study anything because it's just a straight line of European history, or it's just a straight line of Black history, or it's just a straight line. No, that's not how history unfolds. And that's why we always miss the boat. We always miss the echoes and how to prepare for them. Astrology is about the science of seeing patterns so that you can prepare, you see. So anyway, he said it. I said, God damn, I've been saying this shit for 5 years. I just had intuition to go on. Plus, I'm a historical scientist, right? 15 years in a veteran organization. There's no way you're going to be able to watch what's unfolding and not have a historical context to explain what it is you're seeing in real time. So I was like, my intuition was strong. Like, yeah, they priming us all these movies, and we think it's cool. Oh, look at the Sabrina the Witch and, Harry Potter and all these movies, and they're great. I love them. But we miss the subtext. In every last one of these movies, the witches are still being sought after. Their life is still in danger. They still have to live in the shadows. They cannot fully be themselves for threat to life and personhood. Those who hold the reins on power are always threatening their existence. So they have to hide in other realms. You understand? They have to hide in the dark. They have to move between spaces because they cannot simply be, you see. So even though we get caught up in the fanfare and the flying broomsticks and all that shit, there is a subtext in every last one of these movies. Go back and watch them and you'll be like, oh my God. In every last one of them, even as there might be conflict among the witches, you feel me, that we get caught up on, the state is always there, threatening their very existence, threatening their very lives, threatening violence against them all the time, you see. And we miss that for the fanfare. I'll tell you, we in it. Pluto has officially entered the building of Aquarius, baby. The door is flung the fuck open on this shit. The door is flung the fuck open. And we have to study these things. You know what I would like to see is a meeting of the minds of us who are clear about what it is that we are witnessing, who are clear about the call that's been made on our life by the mother, and who are serious about exposing what has been hidden. Because what does Oya promise as Pluto? What does Oya promise? I am revealing everything. This is Revelations that we're in. The Christians ain't wrong. This is Revelations that we are in. But Revelations are governed by our mother. She said, I promise you, I will reveal what has been hidden. I promise you, I will remove the mask of every enemy so that they can be judged. I swear to you, this is the age where all that has been hidden will be seen. You know what? I'm reminded of something. Some of y'all don't know Dr. Khalid Muhammad unless you like hardcore radicals. But Dr. Khalid Muhammad, he was on Donahue. This was way back in the days. This was back in the 90s. I'll never forget that interview. That shit was so powerful. That jet black, smooth talking, bald-headed man. Woo! That was you can see it on YouTube. Just type in Dr. Khalid Muhammad on Donahue. That shit was like the shot heard around the world. Let me tell you why. And I'm convinced that is the reason that he died. I'm convinced that's the reason that he died. Because Donahue asks him, he said, you made this comment when you were speaking at Morehouse about the Pope. And Donahue was a condescending son of a bitch, is what he was. Always swore he was the smartest motherfucker in the room. And this was an example of that. It's like, yeah, you made this little comment when you were speaking at Morehouse, and you said something like, why don't we pull up the Pope's dress and see what's hidden up under there? He was like, isn't this kind of like, you have a lot of influence. You're a smart man, isn't this very childish kind of language? Isn't this just very childish kind of language? And he said, come on, Donahue. You got to see this interview. He's like, come on, Donahue. He said, man, you are a Jew. You know exactly what the scripture says about that. He said it wasn't a childish comment. It was a quote directly from the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, it is said, that it is understood that if you lift up a man's garments, you show up his shame. When you lift up someone's garments, you show up their shame, right? He said, when I make a comment in a room full of the descendants of the enslaved of this country, saying, We are looking at the Pope and we want to raise up that dress of his and see what's hidden under there, because we, the descendants of slaves, are crystal clear about what is hidden under the dress of the goddamn Pope. Our wealth, our mysteries, our science, our magic, our history, everything that has been stolen from colonized people the world over is held captive in that institution called the Vatican. He said, that's what I meant. I meant we need to show up the shame of this institution that has reigned holy hell on the whole goddamn planet for this last age. I am reminded of this interview with Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Because, baby, every monster that exists has been created by that institution for the sole purpose of the complete and total hegemony of the planet and all of its potential products, human products, spiritual products, magical products, scientific, and the like. Goes on and on and on. Do you guys recall the movie The Matrix that y'all love so much? Who was the grand designer of the whole thing, the constructor of the entire edifice? It wasn't a robot. It wasn't the robots. It was the architect. Who were they deliberate about making the face of the architect? An old white man. Who was his opposition in this scenario? An old black oracle. You understand? They were clear. We weren't clear. We just say white people. We cannot oversimplify that way. White people have been victimized by the goddamn Holy Roman Empire too. Why do I keep bringing this up? The Inquisition. White people have been turned into monsters by the same institution that holds the rest of us goddamn hostage to this day. That's why I mentioned the serial killers. That's why I mentioned them two white boys looking so demoralized when the dude said 82% of all serial killers ever documented have been white and male. Their spirit hurt when that man told them that shit. It's like, damn, what causes that? What makes that happen? The Holy goddamn Roman Empire. Hidden Holy Roman Empire. Draped as the holy male mother. Y'all better recognize, because y'all get caught up on dumb shit. That does not mean, because I continue to say, the white world got debts to pay. White individuals have work to do to redeem themselves. They do. They have been radical, enthusiastic participants in the worst crimes ever committed. They got debts to pay. But the monster that is white supremacy, not white individuals, white supremacy, the plug uglies, whether they are conscious willful participators or just moving based on their conditioning. White supremacy that allows them to move through the world unscathed. What allows it? Why does the state always allow them to move unscathed? Because their behavior upholds the state. That's why y'all get confused. Y'all really get confused. Y'all say, but this black man did this, and it wasn't nowhere near as bad as what this white dude did right here. And this white dude only got 2 years, and the black man got 15 years. And y'all be confused about what y'all see. White supremacy is an instrument used to uphold the state. That's all. They have to let the white boy go. They have to let the white boy off with a slap on the wrist. They have to let the white woman off with probation. They have to, because white people as instruments being manipulated by the same institution always create this chasm that maintains, again, this in any other way statistically impossible split in power, imbalance in power. White people play a role. They are used as instruments to play a role, and they fall right in line. Whoo! Got away with that. You understand what I'm saying? Woo! Gentrifiers do the same thing. Man, it sure is nice. They gave us that nice big tax break or that nice big loan to help us get our house, even though we know that we did, this poor woman who lived in the house just couldn't afford to pay her property taxes because so many of us are moving into the neighborhood that is shooting the property taxes through the roof, and she can't afford to keep the home that's been paid for since 1972. Oh, well, I mean, you just got to do better. They become instruments. They become a part of the monstrosity created to maintain this imbalance in power that otherwise could never be maintained, could not exist. You understand? But they have a memory in their cells, just like we do, of terror, of the most horrible and gruesome images imaginable in the human consciousness. All you have to do is read the books about what the Inquisition actually was, what it did to human body. We get glimpses of it. Remember that movie with Christopher Walken, Sleepy Hollow, with Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken. And Johnny Depp is talking about why he doesn't believe in magic anymore. Because his mother was married to a preacher, one of them, old Puritans and shit. And the old Puritan caught her what he thought was doing magic. She was just playing with like herbs or something. I don't know. She was doing something that was very benign. And he was like, "You're a witch." Oh no, she had the little optical illusion thing where it looked like the bird was in the cage if you just twisted it, right? If you just twist it, he's like, "This is magic." And what did he put her in? Y'all know what the Iron Maiden is? Do y'all know what an Iron Maiden is? Raise your hands, say something. Anybody know what the Iron Maiden is? Anybody remember that movie, Sleepy Hollow? And how Johnny Depp's mother died and why he stopped believing in magic? No. The Iron Maiden was a torture device developed by the Roman Catholic Church to, quote, torture confessions out of women who had been accused of witchcraft. This Puritan, because she had a little thing with a picture on one side of a bird and a picture on the other side of a cage, and when you twist it, it looked like the bird in a cage. Oh, bitch, you was practicing magic. He put her in an Iron Maiden. An Iron Maiden was a thing that looked like a giant metal casket, and on the inside, it had giant metal spikes about this long. So they would close the door on the Iron Maiden slowly piercing your skin to force the confession, slowly forcing the door closed to force your confession. And if you didn't confess, then you would die. And if you did confess, they would take you out of the Iron Maiden and your ass was still going to die anyway, whether it was tied to the stake or dropped in the bottom of a river with stones to your feet, stoned to death, or whatever verdict that they carried out for you. This was the daily existence of white people in Europe for upwards of 800 plus years. Of course, it is going to create a monster. So when that child said that on that live today, he was like, what causes that? I want to understand what causes that. What does it mean that 82% of all serial killers were white men? That's what it means. That's where it comes from, baby. It comes from 800 plus years of terror unleashed on your on your ancestors. And that terror coming through every generation, to suffer the same thing, every generation, to suffer the same thing, every generation. The United States is not 300 years old. So you think about the time, and the time that African people have been enslaved here was approximately 200 to 300 years, if you're not including Jim Crow and the prison industrial complex, right? So we've been here on this land 400 years, but this shit unfolded in Europe for 800 plus years, almost 900 years. And you don't think it's going to have an impact on people's behavior. You just want to say they just inherently wicked. That it's just the flaw of their mutation or some shit. We can't do that, y'all. We can't do that. I know it's hard living in a world with people like that just running them up. But the thing is like the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Every monster created, I'm going to go back to every monster created, every monster that exists has its origin deliberate construction of it. The deliberate construction of monstrosities comes from these unchanged ambitions of the Holy Roman Empire. What were the ambitions of the Holy Roman, not the Holy Roman Empire, the Roman Empire? The Roman Empire's ambitions were always known. What? All roads lead to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. And our ambition is to dominate the known world. That was Roman ambition. Stated Roman ambition is to dominate the known world, the known world, to where all roads lead to Rome. That means all the wealth of the known world funnels directly in to Rome. That was the ambition of the Roman Empire. That ambition never changed, even as the face of the empire changed to the Holy Roman Empire, and then again changed to the Holy Roman Catholic Church. The ambition is still the same, is to dominate every square inch of the known planet and all the wealth that it produces and all the life that it produces. The ambitions are unchanged. And so every institution that exists to ensure the fulfillment of that ambition, nothing else, nowhere else on earth. China is involved. India is involved. Japan is involved. Africa is involved. South America is involved. Everybody is involved because this is the construction. What did I talk to y'all about? The grand architect in the Matrix? We all locked into this bullshit. Until we start throwing multiple kinks in the fucking architecture. And still, until we start throwing real kinks in the goddamn architecture, bitch, we all lock the fuck in. There ain't no escaping the shit unless we start deconstructing this motherfucker brick by brick. Throwing wrenches into every moving part we can find. Sabotaging this bitch from the inside out all the time. And if you are so-called magical worker anywhere on earth and your magical work does not involve the dismantling of this bitch, you missing the boat. You're missing the boat. You're missing the boat for why you have the skills your ancestors imparted you with. I guarantee you, every last one of our ancestors had as a unified, same, no matter where we come from, objective, which was to see a complete and total end of suffering on earth, of domination by one over others. And if you got skills, if you have intellect, if you have magic, if you have history, if you have a connection with your ancestral traditions, and in some way or another, those ancestral traditions are not being used every time you say a prayer, every time you say a manifestation, if you are not saying a manifestation that contributes to the fucking total dismantling of this bitch, I swear you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. You got it all wrong. You got it all wrong. Love and light ain't where it's at right now. That ain't Kali's energy, boo. Love is implied with Kali. Bitch, I'm saving the world. That's the evidence of love. Now you can be mad about how that looked. She said, but love is inherent by the action. Love is inherent because I am here to save the world. I'm here to destroy your enemies. You may be uncomfortable with what that looks like. You may be uncomfortable because my hair is unkempt in the process. You may be uncomfortable because my ass is too fat or my stomach is too jiggly or I got too many stretch marks. But no, my being here in this moment is evidence of love. I am here to ensure the future for you. And baby, we have outlived the period of love and light. Love and light ain't gonna do it. Love and light is not going to do it. You better every last one of you better embrace the pitch black right now. You better get comfortable with the dismantling of every idea you've held in your consciousness that has you see me, your mother, as your enemy and not this monstrous beast that has plagued the planet for upwards of 2,500 years. There is no crime, straight up crime. There is no crime. There is no act. There is no ceremony. There is no ritual. No witch can do that can even begin to approach the terror that's been imposed on us under civility, under morality, under Jesus, under Allah, under Yahweh. We cannot even you are talking about, if you take all the witches in history, all the witches on earth, and all the witches that will ever be, and corral them into a single act of aggression, it still would only be a pebble in the ocean of blood spilled by the church, of crimes committed by the church and its lackeys. My mother says, how dare you? I've been here all along, trying to rescue you, trying to save you, whispering to you in your fucking sleep, trying to shake this shit loose from your consciousness. And every time you see my daughters, you look with disdain. How dare you? Even as my daughters perpetually and continually are always on the right side of the question, always the forerunners of progress in this bitch. And every time you see them, you revile them. How dare you? Y'all better get comfortable with my ugly. Y'all better get comfortable with my resting bitch face, or my active bitch face for that matter. Y'all better get comfortable, because the mother, baby, this shit is going to be, this year, this shit is going to be wild and radical and exciting, and we better be welcoming it. We better be on the right side of the goddamn question. And the right side of the goddamn question is not sitting in no motherfucking line for 3 days waiting to vote for some old white bastard. I'm handing it to you blood raw. The right side of the question is not to put ourselves in a position continually to be betrayed by someone who has never had our interests at heart. Never. Not the state, not the government, not a legislator. The mother, child, the true mother. I'm gonna have to talk to y'all more in depth about this Love Has Won, but it had me with an attitude. That's why I was saying about this girl. To me, this girl is a sleeper. The language she was using, you understand where she was from, that not being her background at all, the language that I was like, this bitch is a sleeper. Y'all know what a sleeper is? I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Go watch The Manchurian Candidate. Go watch The Manchurian Candidate. The dude was a sleeper, but he was not aware. He was like a regular everyday guy doing regular everyday guy shit. Had a family and some kids, you feel me? Regular tax-paying citizen doing his thing, you feel me? He did not know that he was a sleeper. So when I'm always talking about whether you are a conscious upholder of the aims of the state and the ambitions of the state, or whether you are just a reactionary ass motherfucker who likes beating up on women, you still doing the work of the state. You're still doing the work of the state, right? Or if you are a cult leader, using the language of the primordial mother to win people into this cult. I was like, where did she get this language from? She called herself white buffalo calf woman, unless you have intimate relationships with indigenous people, I had never heard of white buffalo calf woman until I was on a reservation, until I was sleeping in the dirt on a reservation. You feel me? Where'd she get this language from? To emerge out of nowhere after managing a McDonald's. You feel me? What else she said? She called herself the Great Mother Oracle. Where'd she get this language from? Growing up in a city that is not even on the map in Oklahoma. Where'd she get this language from? You understand? Her family said she seemed fine. She was doing really good at her job. They gave her own McDonald's, where she was the overall manager for this McDonald's. She was making a lot of money. She had these babies. One day we went out for her child's birthday, and she went up to go use the restroom and left, and we haven't seen her since. Now watch the Manchurian Candidate and see how that shit happened. In a seeming instant, somebody says a trigger word, or you get a phone call or some shit, and all of a sudden you this whole new person with these whole new skills and these whole new objectives. You feel? It's like your consciousness been wiped the fuck out, and now you're doing the bidding of those who, created you. You feel me? So much of what this girl talked. Plus, there was a dude who had been active military, had been stationed in the Middle East, who was part of her cult. The language was what triggered me. I was like, this girl was a sleeper. I don't know. She may, we have to be careful at even quote, just saying, oh, that bitch crazy, and just blowing it off. Because insanity is a construct of this same empire. I promise you. I'm going to do a whole video on it one of these days about the historical ties of the science of psychology and its origins up in the Roman Catholic Church. I'm going to do that because we are so quick to blow everything off as, oh, they just crazy. Oh, they just insane. And that's it. Even in insanity, their actions have an outcome that benefit the state, that uphold the state, that benefit the state in some way, even if it's just creating that perpetual necessary enemy consciousness in the rest of us. You see what I'm saying? And this girl, more than any other cult leader that I have seen documentaries on, her shit screamed sleeper. I was like, yeah. Somebody slipped this girl a CIA Mickey or some shit. But this girl was a sleeper. So we'll have to talk to you guys about it a little bit more in depth. But I think I'm going to close out for the night. I still have errands to run. I still have stuff to do. But yeah, I hope something that I said tonight resonated, because it's been on me. It will continue to be on me. We have to be crystal clear. What did one of our cards say today? That the only way that we can receive the clarity that we need to navigate through this world is rest, relaxation that allows us the time to process and integrate every day. Because otherwise, we'll take what we're seeing the same way everybody else takes what they're seeing. And what we're seeing is not what it is. I'm just trying to tell you, nothing we are seeing is what it is. So, with that being said, I want to say good night. My name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I will see you tomorrow. I think I have 2 lives scheduled for tomorrow, one at noon, one later in the day. But until then, I wish you good night. Take care.